Hey, welcome back to Mr. P Helps with Algebra 2. This is U2T2SLT13. We're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying polynomials graphically to see their structure. This is actually a skill that you're going to be using over the course of this year, especially when you get to the trig, when we are graphing sine and cosine functions. And this is one of the ways that we're going to do that, so to see what the graph looks like by solving it algebraically, not just putting into a graphing calculator, which I know you can do. The whole idea is to see why it is what it is and not just rely on the graphic calculator to tell you what it is. All right, so what we have here is four different functions. They have four different names. One's g of x, one's f of x, one's h of x, and one's j of x. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in what value of x they're giving us. So g of 10 means that x is 10, and we're going to find out what that answer is, what its height would be, or what its y would be. So the g of x, 10, so I have to use this function because that's g of 10. Negative 3 times 10 is negative 30, plus 1 is negative 29. It's that simple. When it says f of 3, that means x is 3 when you're using function f of x. So I put 3 in for x and I solve. 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 7 makes 16. H of negative 2, well, if x is negative 2 in the h of x function, 12 divided by negative 2 is negative 6. J of 7, 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 9 is 23. H of a. So I remember I see this question every single time, and I never remember what the purpose of it was. So 12 divided by a is just 12 divided by a. So you put a in for x, and you can't solve because you don't know what a is. G of b plus c. So if I add b plus c in for x, so g of... where's g of x? So that's negative 3 times b plus c plus 1. So I believe that's what we're supposed to be doing. So put b and c in there and solve. So negative 3 times b plus c plus 1. H, find x if g of x is 16. If g of x is 16. Okay, so now kind of doing the exact opposite now. Now we know the answer is 16. So what would x have to be in order to get an answer of 16? So it's kind of like negative 3x plus 1 equals 16. Now, if I was going to solve this, I would subtract 1 from both sides. That makes this 15. And then negative 3x equals 15. And divide both sides by negative 3, you get negative 5. The answer is negative 5. So x would have to be negative 5 in the g of x function in order to get an answer of 16. Same thing here. So find x if h of x is this function, so that's 12 divided by something equals negative 2. Easy way of doing this, multiply both sides by x, and that gives you 12 equals negative 2x. Divide both sides by negative 2, and there's other ways you could have done this question. These cancel out, you're left with negative 6. X equals negative 6. X equals negative 5. And last one, find x if f of x equals 23. F of x is this one. So if x squared plus 7 equals 23, subtract 7 from both sides. 23 minus 7 is 16. Square root of both sides is 4. Looks like 4 is your answer. All right, let's keep it moving. We're going to be doing kind of the exact same thing I just showed you a second ago, only we're given the graphic. Hit the button on the board, sorry. We're given the graphic of what the graphs look like now. That's actually an advantage because now we can just simply, we don't even have to put the number into the equation. Although we can do that, that's one way of finding the answer. We can actually just use the graph to find the answer by just counting blocks. That's simple, and find the height of where it is at that moment. F of 0. So this is the f of x function, g of x function, h of x function. So put 0 in for x and solve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to be negative 9. Now if I put 0 in for x, 0 squared is still 0. 0 minus 9 is negative 9. So it kind of makes sense there as well. So this is really f of 0. I know it looks a little different than f of 0, so same thing. G of 0, if I put 0 right here, 1, 2, it's negative 2. F of 0 plus g of 0. Now you can see the benefits of writing it like this. Easier way of writing it. So f of 0 was negative 9. G of 0 was negative 2. Add those two together, you get negative 11. F of 2 minus h of 2. Well, I'm going to do each one separately. So f of 2 is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to take away h of 2. H of 2 is 1. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. Now, I can double check that, putting that into the function. F of 2, 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 9 is negative 5. That's right. And 2 into the h of x function. So negative half of x, well, half of 2 is 1. So that's negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. That's right. H of 4. H of 1, 2, 3, 4 is 0 times, it really doesn't really matter because 0 times anything is 0, so I'm going to stop right there. G of 0 times h of 0. Once again, h of 0 was 0, wasn't it? H of 0 is 2 multiplied by g of 0, which is negative 2, and that equals negative 4. G of 0, I just did that, it was negative 2, minus f of 0, which was negative 9. Negative 2 minus negative 9 is really negative 2 plus 9. And then if you add, you get 7. G of negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1. You know what? It's a lot of counting of blocks. I'm just going to put it into the equation. Negative 6 minus 2 more makes negative 8. Minus h of negative 6. I'm going to do the same thing up here. Negative 6, well, negative half of that, half of negative 6 is 3, and negative times a negative is a positive, so it's positive 3 plus 2 makes 5. Negative 8 minus 5 makes negative 13. Voila, a little bit easier than counting the blocks. You can do it either way. F of negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, I'm just going to do it this way. 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 9 makes 5. G of negative 4. And once again, I'm going to just put it up here. Negative 4 minus 2 more makes negative 6. There you go. Negative 30. G of negative 8. Negative 8 minus 2 more makes negative 10. H of negative 8. Negative 8, let's see, half of that would be 4. 4 plus 2 makes 6. Negative 10 times 6 is 60. And I'm going to stop right there because that's pretty much meeting today's objective. Thanks again for watching, and look forward to the next video. Have a wonderful day.